Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers, and peace be upon you all. Jazakallah for tuning in to day 2 of the 34th annual West Coast Jalsa Salana, where we are at the beautiful site of Bat al-Hamid, which is such a wonderful setting for this Jalsa. If you look outside, you'll see some farms on one side, horses in the back on the other side. It is an absolutely phenomenal place to be, and we hope that you can join us here. If not today or tomorrow, then next year, inshallah. So Osama and I are here in the studios, and we will be here today to give you some fantastic programs, interviews, behind-the-scenes looks at what happens here at Jalsa. We have an excellent program today.
We really do, alhamdulillah. We really have a lot of interesting programming here for you. Expect to hear discussions about scientists in Ahmadiyyat. Expect to hear discussions about converts in Ahmadiyyat. And also expect to hear a lot of discussions about what's going on with the Jamaat, what's going on with the upcoming year, the centenary discussion, the centennial year, what's going on with Majlis Qudam al-Ahmadiyya, what's going on with Atfal al-Ahmadiyya. So a lot of interesting programming. Stay tuned for those of you that are watching, but also for those of you who are watching that are here and overseas, wherever you may be. We have a lot of interesting speeches as well.
We have a fantastic program in the morning, just this morning for you today. We have 4 speeches coming up. We have Dr. Suhail Hussain, who will talk about the Holy Quran and the prophecies that have been fulfilled from it. We have Aftab Jamil Sahib, who's going to talk about giving heed to the voice from the heavens and how the Messiah has come. And then we also have Faik Malik, who serves as the local guide, and he's going to do a speech about the companions who found Allah in their youth. And then finally, to wrap up this morning, we will have Sadr Majlis Qudam al-Ahmadiyya USA, Dr. Madil Abdullah Sahib, who will talk about how Salat protects us from indecency and manifest evil, and which has been a recurring theme throughout Hazur's khutbat as well, which will really help, inshallah, bring us back to Salat.
It really has. And I think what will be great is that you, the viewers, will be fortunate enough to hear the inner workings of those speakers as we bring them here to the studio and have an in-depth discussion of what were their topics about, what was in between the lines, so to speak. You know, how did it go to actually create that speech?
Exactly. You know, 20 minutes is never enough to talk about all the wisdom and the knowledge that Islam Ahmadiyyat has given us regarding these topics. So we'll talk about some things that didn't make it to the speech that are just as impressive.
Exactly. So for those of you at home, we appreciate you tweeting at West Coast Jalsa Salana. We have a lot of interesting tweets keyed up that we want to share with you because we appreciate that you are out there. We have Aisha_ saying, going to Fajr prayer at the Chino Mosque and passing the beautiful roses. Hashtag Jalsa WC.
Way to go, Aisha. That's flexing right there. She wasn't rushing to go to Fajr. She had time.
That's right. She was taking photos. She was smelling the roses, literally. But I think that's one of the very beautiful aspects about this compound. You know, people call it a compound. It's a mosque. It's got so many beautiful amenities to it, right? I mean, when this mosque was first established, when we heard during the history of the West Coast Jalsa, it was a farmhouse, right? I mean, we're in an agricultural community, and it kind of is an homage to that early time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when Masjid Nabi was really just a bunch of date palm trees for a roof and, 4 walls. And so here, alhamdulillah, now the Masjid Bat al-Hamid Mosque has become such a beautiful facility. And I feel like we really feel that homeliness when you're here.
Yeah.
Right? And and it just adds like a whole different quality, I feel like, for the viewers and for the people that are here. So if you are watching and you do want to come to West Coast Jalsa Salana, the invitation is still open. Tickets are still there. I say jump on a flight right now and just come. I say it. My invitation, the hospitality here at Bat al-Hamid Mosque will always be never-ending, inshallah.
And if you can't make it, then there's always the second screen on Twitter at WCJSUSA and the hashtag JalsaWC. Where there's so much content coming in, not only from our official account, but also from you, dear viewers, who are sharing your experiences and sharing some maybe photos of what you're eating, because we know food is an important part of Jalsa. Because, I say that jovially because we connect over food too, and one of the purposes of Jalsa is to connect with people, make new friends, reunite with family and friends.
Exactly.
And what better way to do it than over a hot meal?
Exactly. Breaking bread with friends and family and doing it over dal, because we know that's dalicious, right?
That's right.
So that's what we're going to do. And that's a great way to kind of continue that brotherhood, continue that connection with the Jamaat, because honestly, every time, we have these jalsas, it always feels like I'm being connected with my larger extended family.
Right.
It's not so much that oh, I haven't seen you in so long. It's just that we're all one big family, and you come to Jalsa, you see each other, you bring that warmth, and you feel that connection. And it really is one of the blessings of Khilafat and the blessings of the Jalsa that was established by Hazrat Masih Maud.
That's right. And yesterday we heard about the history of the Jalsa, the history of the West Coast Jalsa, and now we get to really experience being in it. This is the long day. This is a day full from morning to evening of programs, of sessions, of guests. We have our guest session later today, which is going to be fantastic. And looking forward to that too.
That is. So let's go back then to Jalsa. Let's see some of the programming we have available, and let's watch this short clip.
One prophet and only one book. The prophet is Muhammad, the chosen one, peace be on him, who is higher and more exalted than all prophets, and is the most perfect of messengers, and is the Khatam al-Anbiya, the best of men, by following whom we find God Almighty, and all the veils of darkness are lifted, and the signs of true salvation are witnessed in this very life. The book is the Holy Quran, which comprises true and perfect guidance and effectiveness, through which knowledge and understanding of the divine are obtained, and the heart is purified of human weaknesses. And being delivered from ignorance and heedlessness and doubts, a person arrives at the stage of complete certainty.
Salli ala Nabiyyina, Salli ala Muhammadin, Salli ala Imamina, Salli ala Muhammadin, Salli ala Habibina, Salli ala Shafina, Salli ala Masihina, Salli ala Waliyina, Salli ala Nabiyyina, Salli ala Muhammadin, Salli ala Imamina, Salli ala Muhammadin.
Mic test.
Mic test.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We are now going to look into something that we take for granted every day, Al-Islam. And we're going to go deeper into that discussion and find out what's new with Al-Islam. And to understand Al-Islam, I'm here with two very esteemed panelists, Dr. Naseem Rahmatullah Saab and Asif Malik Saab. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Walaikum salam.
Dr. Saab, what is new with Al-Islam that we should know?
Well, the whole face of Al-Islam, we've changed it over the last year. The Urdu site and the English site, they have been revamped, and we got a lot more material focused on Khalifat al-Masih on the homepage now. And Asim is going to provide you more details as we move forward. But we have put all the speeches of Hazur on the site. We got all the books on the site. We got new audio books, and we got books on Audible. In addition, we have redesigned the Holy Quran page as well. And we have created new domains for people to, because Al-Islam, is a reference site. And a lot of time people get on the home page and they get lost where to go. So we've created domains where they can go directly, if like they're looking for example, the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So we have a domain like holyprophet.org. They can go directly to that page and look at that. I want to mention one thing, that we got a tremendous team of workers, and a lot of them are in Canada. Asim is full time. He's here based in the U.S. But Masood Nasser, who's the sort of a CEO of the Al Islam, he has done a lot of work in putting this site together over the last couple of years. And there are other members as well who work on apps and the Holy Quran. So I'm going to let Asim talk about it.
Awesome, Pai. Could you show us a little bit about what these new features that we have in Al Islam?
Yeah, of course. So as respected Dr. Naseem Rahmatullah Sahab mentioned, so alhamdulillah, a lot of work has been done. We've made the website responsive, number one. So initially it was static. So now if you're looking on a mobile device, desktop, iPad, the content should actually, display in a correct manner. So that way, kind of scrolling, zooming in and out. Hopefully you can see the computer, the laptop screen as now. And this is the new Al Islam homepage. So on here we provide all the information that you need for a reference site. As you scroll down immediately, we have, oh sorry, too fast. We have like any press releases coming from the center. So right on the homepage, you're able to reference new content that's been added, Hazur's latest Friday sermon. So that basically you can reference it immediately. Featured page. So Dr. Naseem Rahmatullah Sahab mentioned, for example, we have a whole page of all the speeches of Khalifa Khamis. So you can actually select Hazur's page, Khalifa Khamis, and you have every speech he's given at all the locations.
Wow.
So this way then you've got like a single resource that you can reference the site and look at all the speeches done by Hazur. In regards to that, additionally, we have a whole bunch of other things. Like we have like featured books. And then regarding the domains that Dr. Naseem Rahmatullah Sahab mentioned, so if you have like a campaign, anything happening, for example, it could be about the Holy Prophet Sallallahu or the Promised Messiah alayhi Islam, you can actually enter the URLs of that. So you can actually use that for your reference. So especially for giving it out to like your colleagues, to non-Ahmadi for Tabligh. If you were going to talk about Khilafat, for example, it doesn't make sense to send them to alislam.org. So we actually have a dedicated URL called khilafat.org. And once you enter that, oh, sorry.
So it's khilafat.org.
It's khilafat.com.
So it doesn't get any more simple than that. We literally own the domain of khilafat.com, which is exactly how Ahmadiyyat should be.
Exactly. So now if you have a whole campaign dedicated to Khilafat, you can actually just send them this URL and that will take them immediately to that section in Al Islam. So you don't have to worry about kind of like just a generic site, because to a general user, there's a lot of content in Al Islam. On the same basis, we have the other URLs, holyprophet.org, promisedmessiah.org.
And we also have, with regards to Khilafat, we have khalifatulmasih.org, and we have khalifaofislam.org and .com. So they'll take you to Khalifatul Masih's page. Can you click
so Ahmadiyyat has the realm over all of Khilafat, as it should be, as the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has prophesied in later days.
And the other thing that Asim is going to show you is about the books of the Promised Messiah alayhi salam and the other authors. And we have a URL for that too, alislam.audio. So you go there, can you put that there, and you can see all the audiobooks. And Asim has recently added the philosophy of teachings of Islam to Audible. And that was a big achievement for us, because we have all these books in audio. And Audible, they have their special requirement, and so Asim, they had to do a lot of editing and adding to not to the content, but to the beginning and the end of the book, because they require a special format and introduction and a lot of other things that he worked on. They rejected it first, then he worked on some more, and they've accepted it. So because philosophy of teaching Islam was the major work of the Promised Messiah alayhi salam and gives really the teaching of Islam, so we thought we'd put this book on first.
That's amazing.
And by the grace of God, we went 6 weeks ago?
Yes, yeah.
About 6 weeks ago.
Alhamdulillah. So if the viewers want to purchase the philosophy of teachings of Islam, and you have an Alexa device or you have an Audible account, this would be a perfect way to do that. You can purchase the philosophy teachings of Islam on Audible, and it's actually a professionally done audio.
That's correct. Yeah, it is. The rest is also available in formats that are free. That's available on Al Islam. So whichever you prefer, you may listen to it. But the important thing is that we should make benefit of the books of the promised Messiah Islam, because all the books of the promised Messiah Islam are available in audio.
Alhamdulillah. English and Urdu?
No, English at least. Urdu, all of them available. English, most of them are available as they come out, the translations come out, we keep adding them. But we don't have the translations of all of them. So, but all Urdu are available. So we should benefit from them.
I mean, additionally to that, as well as the audiobooks, we do have the podcasts as well. So we do actually provide the podcast of Hazur's khutbahs and speeches as well. So you can download those as well, and that's using like the podcast, like professional services, not something that is just internal to Al-Islam. So if you have a generic, like an iPhone, Android device, you can go to the podcast, your favorite podcast player, and be able to listen to these books as well.
What about the media library? Have we had any changes there? And is there something that you can show us from the media library?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Go to the home page. And so on the home page, if you go on the right side of the home page, it's the latest video you'll see of Khalifatul Masih. He's holding an audience there. So what Hazur did in the last week. So that comes up first. And if you click on that, that will take you to the page of videos where you can see what's all the latest videos. And then there are categories on there. If you scroll down, you'll see other categories. Go to the media library, then you'll see various categories. And then you can access. So now you see all these categories there. And you can click on each category.
Wow.
Yeah. And go ahead, read it.
Yeah, so you can like select the program series if there's something in particular you were after. You were referencing 1974 discussion, Children's Corner, as well as on the left-hand side, you have multiple languages, English and Urdu. So if you unselect Urdu, if you're only interested in the English content, the page will actually update now to purely English content.
Wow.
And vice versa for just Urdu. So that way, if you're looking for like a certain language, you're able to select it down to that level as well.
Right. This seems like a much more robust feature than YouTube.
Right.
Because that's how a lot of people view
Right,
their videos.
Right.
Yeah. So I would urge our viewers, and especially Ahmadi brothers and sisters, to go to this site, and they can really benefit from it. Plus the feedback they give us, we can make improvements, and so that they are more user friendly.
Exactly.
And we have been doing this since '95, and we have developed a lot. And it's basically, in the beginning we were just adding stuff, and now we need to make it more user friendly so people can access it and use it in a better way. So we need a lot of feedback. And also, if people want to work for Al-Islam, you can reach out to us at info@alislam.org, and we can utilize your services.
Awesome, Pai, can you tell us some of the changes that you've done to the way viewers can access the Holy Quran?
Okay, yes, of course. So as one of the changes done, obviously by like our development team, has been the Quran itself. So at the top on the home page, you can say, actually number one, let's take a step back. So we have a dedicated URL service for even the Quran. So if there's a chapter or verse you're after and you want it immediately, all you have to enter is tilawat, so tilaw.at / your chapter you're after, for example, chapter 12, verse 3. If you hit that, that should immediately take you to chapter 12, verse 3. So now you can immediately jump to that verse you were thinking. Now on here, there's we've tried to simplify it for the user. You can jump to a specific verse. We've added the capability to play the audio. So if you wanted to hear the recitation of this verse, you have that capability, as long with a whole bunch of others. If by clicking the settings, you can actually select if you want to go deeper into the commentary of this verse.
Right.
For example, if you're trying to reference something. In addition, we have a whole bunch of translations available: French, Spanish, Dutch, the Urdu as well. And then on top of that, we have different reciters of the Quran as well. So you can select, so if there was one in particular that you were after, we do provide you that capability to be able to select that as well.
So if you want to select Qari Saab and
Yes.
you want to go and have that old school feel, of course, you can go and do that too.
Yeah, I also encourage members to go to our Holy Quran app. This Maulvi Sherry Sahib, this app that we have on an iPhone, and it has, you can search on this too, and you can search in Urdu,
Why
English.
don't we show to the camera so that way we can zoom into the viewer for the viewers to see too?
So this you can search on this in English, Urdu, and transliteration, and it's really, and you can bookmark it. You can do a lot of things with it. So you should go and you can also listen to, there's audio there too if you want to use that.
Another big feature of this, actually, it works in offline mode.
Oh,
So if you're actually on the plane, the
Right.
search capability, everything
Yes.
is actually built into the app, so you do not need an online connection for it to work.
Right. And the credit for this goes to our Canadian team. You know, Naveedul Islam is the master of the Holy Quran page, and Qamar Suleiman does the app work. So they get a lot of credit for this, and I'm grateful to them for doing such a tremendous job.
That's amazing. And this app is for free.
This app's for free. Yeah.
Whereas if you're trying to purchase an app that is of a non-Ahmadi Holy Quran, you will have to deal with ads, you have to deal with purchases. This is something that, alhamdulillah,
Right.
viewers don't have to worry about.
But this is really a good app. It's so simple, and even people like me, you know, you can have fun on it.
Awesome. Are there any other features that you'd like to show us?
So, I mean, we have actually a dedicated for saying what's new. So you can actually come to the Al Islam page, click on what's new as well. And that way, it will actually tell you everything latest going on with Jamaat. We have new articles coming in, being submitted that go online. So we submit those. We have the media, we have the content, the Friday sermon. So we have now, I believe the Friday sermons all the way back up to
1908.
1908. So if you want to do reference now, these sermons, I mean, there's a whole, like, so our Urdu site, majority of the text is being uploaded for these sermons. So now you have that capability to be able to search Urdu text and go to a specific location. The same with the speeches as well. We're adding the English text, the actual transliteration of it. So that way then as a user, if there was something you were after, you can actually enter that and that should take you immediately to where. Yeah, so I mean, this will be the English translation, obviously, of the sermons.
Right.
But if Azur gave a speech in English, you'll provide the full.
Is that something that you can show the viewers to see how they can access? Clearly, these are gems of the Jamaat to
Right.
have
Yeah.
Of course, so if you go
all of these Friday sermons. I mean, that is
Right.
huge.
Definitely. So on the main homepage again, so we predominantly try to keep everything there. So from here you can select where you want to go. And predominantly right on the homepage you have the recent Friday sermon. So if you select this, as well as this, we do have a banner that scrolls as well at the top just to let you know what the recent Friday sermon is. The subject of the sermon, then we provide video capabilities. And then along here, are you seeing the, okay, yeah, sorry, let me just go up slightly. So we have a bunch of options in regards to the sermons. Let me give an example of one, like maybe if there was one like 3 weeks ago, because we will have more content, and that way we can show you. So this is a good example. So here you can see in the video section, we have a whole bunch of translations available. So if there was a certain translation you were after, you wanted to watch that sermon, the translation of it, you can actually select that and it will play that translation as well.
Amazing. So for those of us that are here on the West Coast, we have to wake up at 5 a.m. or so to hear Hazur's khutbah live, and some folks are not able to do that. So how soon is the khutbah loaded on Al Islam after it's played?
So
Because I realize there's a lot of mechanics.
So here's the process. See, as soon as the khutbah Hazur is finished, I put the title on the khutbah. And I send it to Asim. So we have one of our Samar Malik in Germany, and he's recording it. And as soon as he gets the title and all, it's uploaded to YouTube. So it doesn't take that long. Once in a while, we'll get a caution from Markaz saying, "Wait, there's going to be an edit in this thing." So if we have uploaded it, we take it down, wait for the edit. That may take a few hours, but otherwise it's almost immediate, you know.
Wow.
So if you don't want to listen at 5 o'clock, you get up in the morning at 8 and you're driving home. It'll be on the podcast and all that. You'll have it.
What about for the translation in English? How soon and what's the process for that to happen? Because they seem to be uploaded fairly quickly. And
By Tuesday, the English is there almost always.
Do you know what the mechanics are behind that? How?
The English is done by London. Before we used to do it, but now Hazur has centralized it, so London does it. And then as soon as they get it to us, we upload it. And they play it there too. So usually the latest is by Tuesday. It may come on a little earlier. And now you see those subtitles in English, when Hazur is speaking by Tuesday. So, but the text of the Urdu sermon in English is available. The summary is available maybe by Saturday or Sunday, but the whole khutbah takes a couple of weeks because it goes to Al-Fazl first, then it's translated into English, then edited, and then I think Hazur has to approve it before we get it. So that's the process.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Alhamdulillah, Al-Islam, from its humble beginnings in 1995 to where we are now, with the amount of resource and the amount of reference material that's there, it's a great achievement and a great blessing of Allah. But where do you see, Dr. Saab, Al-Islam's future in the next 5 to 10 years? Where would you hope for it to be?
Well, already by the grace of God, Al-Islam is the biggest Islamic site you'll have in terms of content, text, books, videos, audio, video. We are the biggest. Nobody has so much material on it. We just have to make it more friendly now, so that with the change of technology, we have to keep changing our methods as well. So I am hoping that in another 5 years, I've been with this since '95. So now as I get older and I recant my immortality, so these younger people are going to be doing, they're still doing most of the work. But I hope that whenever in 5-10 years, whenever anybody wants to find anything about Al-Islam, about Islam, they just remember Al-Islam. And it would be like people, when you say you want to photocopy something, say Xerox, right? It becomes like that.
That phrase.
So that phrase. So say Al-Islam.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah for giving us this inside scoop of what happens behind Al-Islam, something that for us as Ahmadis we take for granted sometimes, but realize there's so much work and so much changes that happen to it. Jazakallah for doing the work that you do. Jazakallah for taking your time out with us today.
Thank you.
Dear viewers, we will be going back to some more clips about the inspirational scenes at Jalsa.
Have found every beauty in him. This wealth is worth procuring, though one might have to lay down one's life to procure it. This ruby is worth purchasing, though one may have to lose oneself to acquire it. O ye who are bereft, run to this fountain, and it will satisfy you. It is the fountain of life that will save you. What shall I do? How shall I impress the hearts with this good news? And by beating what drum shall I make the announcement that this is our God, so that people might hear? What remedies shall I apply to the ears of the people so that they should listen?
محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد.
صلی علی نبینا صلی علی محمد صلی علی نبینا صلی صلی علی حبیبنا صلی علی محمد.
Upon 20th October 2018, when Hazab came to our mosque at the summit, we were so excited, and as soon as he came to our mosque, everyone grew to their places.
خلافت کے ہی سائے میں بسر ہو زندگی ساری خلافت کے ہی سائے میں بسر ہو زندگی ساری.
The whole atmosphere was totally changed. The slogan of Nara Takbir and the replies of Allahu Akbar was surrounded all over the place. Hazrat was waving back to all of us. Hazur came and he leaded with the prayer. Thanks to God Almighty that Allah has blessed us with another mosque. And then Hazur continued visiting different premises of the mosque. And he also planted a tree, red maple tree, at our mosque.
خلافت کے ہی سائے میں بسر ہو زندگی ساری خلافت کے ہی سائے میں بسر ہو زندگی ساری.
So I remember at that time when Hazab was walking inside of the parking area, and when he planted the tree and going towards kids, and all of kids were so excited by looking at Hazur, and Hazur waved back and smiled. That moment was tremendous. So the moment first Fajr namaz offered behind Hazur, it was the moment when I realized I was so blessed that I get an opportunity of praying with Hazur, and starting from there, having missed any of prayer, get a chance to offer all prayers with Hazab. So everyone was working so hard, starting from Tifl to Ansar, Lajna, Khuddam, the security duties, and as well as cooking food, preparing for any banners, and ready organizing all of our Jamaat members. And after the Hazur's visit, and the spiritual fitness can see was the level of spiritual fitness was so high that I have noticed after the Hazur's visit.
صلی علی نبینا صلی علی محمد صلی علی نبینا صلی علی محمد صلی علی حبیبنا صلی علی
اسلام سے نہ بھاگو راہ خدا یہی ہے اے سونے والو جاگو شمس و ضحیٰ یہی ہے اسلام سے نہ بھاگو مجھ کو قسم خدا کی جس نے ہمیں بنایا اب آسمان کے نیچے دین خدا یہی ہے اب آسمان کے نیچے دین خدا یہی ہے باطن سیاہ ہیں جن کے اس دین سے ہے وہ منکر پر اے اندھیرے والو دل کا دیا یہی ہے پر اے اندھیرے والو دل کا دیا یہی ہے دنیا کی سب دکانیں ہیں ہم نے دیکھی بالی آخر ہوا یہ ثابت دارو شفا یہی ہے آخر ہوا یہ ثابت دارو شفا یہی ہے سب خشک ہو گئے ہیں माशूक है तू मेरा इश्क़ सफ़ाए ही है माशूक है तू मेरा इश्क़ सफ़ा यही है इस्लाम से ना भागो राहे खुदा यही है ऐ सोने वालों जागो शम्सो ज़ुहा यही है शम्सो ज़ुहा यही है
ولله الأسماء الحسنى فادعوه بها
القدوس
قل نزله روح القدس من ربك بالحق ليثبت الذين آمنوا وهدى وبشرى للمسلمين
Al-Quddus is the Holy One who is free from all flaws, a blessed being in whom all blessings are amassed. Sanctification of such a being is to declare him pure and flawless. Al-Quddus is the composite of all purity, not merely free from flaws, but also comprising of all excellences, which are known and unknown to human perception. Allah is Quddus, and His nearness cannot be availed unless one is pure. There are pure people who extol Allah's holiness much more than the angels do, and they also spread it in the world. Among them, of course, the most excellent is the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. The human adaptation and indeed beneficence of Quddus was at its most and best in the being of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. He admonished his followers to also seek this beneficence, and through its blessings remove any bias they may harbor. It is said that when the divine commandment for the forbiddance of alcohol was made public, pots full of alcohol were immediately broken, and liquor flowed through the streets of Medina. This revolutionary change was brought about through the Prophet's power of holiness. Famished, stricken with hunger and poverty, it was indeed the Prophet's power of holiness that brought about the blessings in the lives of the companions. The promised Messiah, on whom be peace, depicts the transformation that the quality of the Prophet's holiness brought about in Arabia. This Prophet was created from the light of Allah, who spread his fragrance to take Allah's beneficence to others, who removed what was false and manifested most luminously in his truth. He guided people who were but dead of soul, made them civilized, and took them to the lofty stages of spiritual discernment. Their drunken nights were transformed into nights of worship of God, and their drunken mornings were transformed into the morning prayer, tasbih, and istighfar, seeking forgiveness of Allah. In the current age, we have witnessed the manifestation of the holiness of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace. Today, we stand witness to the true reflection of the Quddus God on earth in the divine system of Khilafat Ahmadiyya. Fortunate are those who recognize it and benefit from its spiritual power.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We are joined here with a very esteemed panel, the National Public Affairs team of the United States of America. We are joined here by Amjad Mahmood Khan Saab, Haris Zafar Saab, and Mujib Ajaz Saab. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
And we're going to discuss a topic that is very monumental. 2020, 100 years of Ahmadiyyat in the United States, the centennial year. Amjad Bhai, can you tell us a little bit about that early history of Islam in the United States?
Absolutely. The early history of Islam in America is actually linked to our Jamaat. Our Jamaat has major contributions to the origin of Islam in America. Specifically, we're among the earliest American Muslim organizations. Some might say even the first American Muslim organization. We lay roots in 1920, and as you mentioned, we're very excited because in less than 10 days, we'll be entering the 100th year of Ahmadiyyat in America. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
It's an incredible milestone, and that early history is really special. It's so special that we would like to unlock that history for our youth in the next century. And it starts with Dr. Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib, the first missionary of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. When he arrived in Philadelphia on February 15th, 1920, if you can imagine, we're just about to hit the 100th year of that arrival. He didn't know anything about America other than what he had heard, and obviously the promised Messiah Islam, its mission he was spreading. And when he arrived, it was the second Khalifa, Hazrat Muslim Maud, who had sent him, and he barely had anything. Obviously he was educated, he knew the language, but he didn't know the social milieu of America. And yet in a span of less than 3 years, a lot of people don't realize he didn't spend much time in America, converted over 700 people. And he set the roots in motion for what the community became a movement, really, a movement for social change, a movement for racial justice, socioeconomic justice. And that began just 2 months later when he opened an office for the community on Madison Avenue, New York City. And then just a few months later, the first mosque of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community on Wabash Avenue in Chicago, still there. And thereafter went to Detroit, all the way to St. Louis, in the Midwest, and Dayton. And so many Americans converted to Ahmadiyyat during that time. Of course, missionary Sufi Bengali Saab after that, and he started the Muslim Sunrise, Dr. Sadiq did, Razi Talanho, in July of 1921. That was the first message of Hazrat Muslim Maud to America. So what we're capturing now in the next century is that 100-year movement. We use the social media hashtag 100-year movement. It's an exciting time. We're very excited to be launching that across the entire Jamaat.
That is amazing. I mean, to think in a span of 3 years, that many people converted to Ahmadiyya. For us growing up in the United States, we realized that it's not easy, right, to convert somebody to a whole different walk of life, but Hazrat Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib Radhiyallahu anhu was able to do that just in 3 years. So that really is kind of like a, it puts a little bit of the balls in our court, right, to do something. Mujib Sahib, how do you feel about that early experience and what we can learn from it in terms of incorporating it for us?
I read an article where Dr. Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib would often give his lectures to rooms that were nearly empty. And day after day, when people would observe that he persisted, he didn't give up, he didn't lose hope, he didn't feel like he needed a full audience. His job was to convey the message. And so by being persistent, that room went from being nearly empty to being over full. And he had the opportunity to convey the message of Islam, not because people were first present and then he was going to convey the message. He started conveying the message, doing his part, and then Almighty Allah brought all of those people to listen to him and to penetrate their hearts and to really understand his message. And I think that's what I think our generation really needs to understand is this. It's not about being able to capture an audience first. It's about your intentions, you doing your part, and then letting the audience find you.
Right.
And so I thought that was actually a really good insight as to how he approached tabligh and conveying the message of Islam.
That's a good point. And Hadis Bhai, what are we now doing on a media standpoint to convey that message of Islam?
Well, we know that there's very little chance that we can live up to the giant footsteps that Mufti Sahib set in terms of how he was able to reach the mass audiences, given his media at the time. But our efforts are to do our best to maximize the awareness within the United States that it's the first time any Muslim organization is hitting a 100-year mark in America. Why that's significant, what the track record is of this community, of this movement, this organization over the 100 years, and the fact that Americans should know about us by now. And so to find a way to even start pushing the envelope towards them that it's been 100 years, why don't you know us yet? Look at all of the media articles that were published even before Mufti Sahib arrived, during the lifetime of the Promised Messiah as well. And so, the effort is really going to be using our new hashtag, 100-Year Movement, as Amjad Bhai mentioned, out on social media, as well as a lot of the relationships we're trying to build with journalists to really talk about the significance of this 100-year fabric of America that's driven by Muslim Americans.
Right. And there's also a special logo, of course, that's been created for this. And there's also a certain timeline as well, right? Would you like to discuss a little bit about that?
Yes, that's right. And I'm not sure if your team has the graphic available, but yes, we have a brand new logo that features not only the Jamaat logo within it, but it does prominently feature, the fact that we're been here for 100 years. We are distributing collateral within the Jamaat on all of the events we want to organize, starting from February 15th to commemorate the 100 years of Mufti Sahib's arrival, continuing on into an open house, a centennial open house, open mosque during Ramadan, continue on to the 4th of July, a centennial themed loyalties event, into the Jalsa. And I think we have somewhere around 10 to 12 events throughout the year that are all going to be positioned and around this theme of 100 years centennial and the fact that we're loyal citizens of this country. And so there are many events to come, and we're hoping that the youth, as well as all walks of life, members of our Jamaat, feel the excitement that this is a very significant moment for us. So if there was any time to stand up and start being part of our celebrations, of our activities, it's now.
Now's the time. And on a public affairs front, Amjad Bhai, what are we doing to support this?
So this is really a Jamaat-wide initiative. Every Ahmadi household should be focused on this year. And it's not just a day, it's a whole year, because this is the 100th year of Ahmadiyyat in America. So Centennial Day is February 15th. That's a 100-year anniversary of when Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib Radhiyallahu anhu landed in America. We're going to begin that day with collective tahajjud across the entire country on that Saturday morning. And we're going to have later that day a community service project across all Jamaats. Every Ahmadi man, woman, and child is going to participate in community service, planting trees, feeding the homeless, blood drives that day. That shows our gratitude of living in this country, thriving in this country, thankful for the protection the country has offered us, and also to tell our community members that we're here to serve, because that, after all, is the message of Hazur. When he came to America in 2018, he gave that message that in times of grief and despair, we will wipe away the tears of our neighbors. That is the theme for the centennial message of Ahmadiyyat in America, that we will wipe away the tears of our neighbors. We've been doing it for 100 years. We are an authentic group. We have the track record. The first mosque in Washington, D.C. is an Ahmadi mosque. We're spread all over America, from Hawaii to Florida, from Maine to Washington, right? And we're going to have that movement. And one very important piece that everyone should know is that this is the time for us to keep the movement going. It's about change. It's about restoring social and economic justice. It's about restoring the ideals of Islam. After all, Ahmadiyyat is a revival of Islam in America. And the restlessness of this country, the polarization of this country, politically, economically, the woes, the gravity of the problem has never been worse. And here we are, 100 years later. Our community members were communicating with Herbert Hoover, and FDR, and JFK, and now with this current president. And our job is we have a consistent message, regardless of the political landscape, and that is, we must educate people about what Islam is, the beauties, the inner beauties of this wonderful faith.
Right. I think that is so pressing. You're right. We're in this time where there's just so much turmoil, there's so much political discord, there's so much economic discord, and it's really the signs of Hazrat Masih Maud. It's really the signs that we need to continue and focus on ourselves. And we should focus on that spiritual interview and focus on that spiritual enlightenment by going back to Jalsa Live now and seeing what the speeches have for us to learn.